Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be diving into WeiWat's blog,
Okay.
The Way to Wellness.
Wait, what?
And we're talking about intuition,
Right.
that gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
what is this thing?
I love it.
So I'm excited to dive in.
Me too.
So what jumped out at you initially when you were looking at this?
Well, you know, it's funny because we always think of intuition as like mystical and
Yeah.
like, kind of woo-woo.
It's like a superpower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I like how WeiWat is really trying to bring it down to earth and say like, this is something practical we can all use. And I think there is a lot of science backing that up.
Yeah, the Heart Math Institute research was really interesting to me,
Oh, yeah.
where they talk about how our hearts actually receive information before our brains.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we tend to think that, we're these brains walking around.
Right.
But actually our heart's electromagnetic field is much bigger than the brain's. And it can actually sense changes in the environment before the brain does.
So it's like almost like a sixth sense then,
It is.
that our heart is giving us information.
Yeah. And think about like, when you watch a scary movie
Right.
and you get that jump scare,
Yeah,
your heart is already racing before you even see the scary thing.
exactly.
And that's your heart like sensing that something's about to happen.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
And WeiWat even brings up like the Twilight Zone,
Oh, yeah.
which is all about those kinds of like weird
Yeah.
premonitions and things. So
Yeah.
it really makes you think.
Well, I'm already starting to feel like we underestimate
Yeah.
our intuition. But the question is, like, why should we listen to it?
Right.
Like, why does it matter?
Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of us, we go through life and we get these nudges, these feelings, and we just kind of ignore them.
Yeah.
And WeiWat's point is that when we do that consistently, we end up feeling kind of disconnected. We don't feel aligned. We don't feel happy.
Yeah, it's like we're not living in accordance with our truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, only 1 in 4 people are natural intuitives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
So for the rest of us, it's something we really need to cultivate.
okay, so that's the majority of us then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is good.
Yeah.
I like what I'm hearing.
Me too.
So what about this idea of structured intuition?
Oh, yeah.
I like that term.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're just throwing logic out the window.
Right.
So how do those two things work together?
Well, it's like you use logic to kind of create the framework.
Right.
You think things through, you gather information,
Yeah.
but then you allow your intuition to add depth
Right.
and nuance and sometimes even challenge that logic.
I see.
Yeah.
So there's like almost like a back and forth
It is?
between the two.
Yeah, like a dance.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
So it's like a dance between logic and intuition.
exactly.
And there's actually research showing that people who trust their intuition feel more emotionally connected to their choices. So they're more satisfied,
Okay.
even when things don't go exactly according to plan.
So how do we start to tap into our intuition?
Well,
Like, what are the practical steps here?
Frances Vaughn,
Okay.
who wrote Awakening Intuition,
Okay.
she says it all starts with intention.
Right.
You have to decide that you want to cultivate this skill.
So it's not something that just happens passively.
Right. It's an active process.
Okay.
So we got to be intentional about it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And that also means quieting the mind.
Easier said than done.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Our minds are so busy all the time.
Yeah.
But practices like meditation,
Right.
deep breathing,
Mm-hmm.
spending time in nature,
Yeah.
these can all help to create that stillness.
Yeah. It's like creating that space
Exactly.
for our intuition to speak to us.
Yeah.
So once we've created the space, how do we actually recognize those intuitive nudges? Well, like, what does that feel like?
Intuition often speaks in whispers, not shouts.
Okay.
So it might be a physical sensation,
Yeah.
like a gut feeling literally,
Right.
or a sudden wave of emotion,
Oh.
or a fleeting thought that just pops into your head.
I see.
It could even be like an energy shift.
Okay.
You just feel different about something.
And what about trust?
Yeah.
Because it's got to be hard to trust something that you can't explain,
Oh, absolutely.
especially if it seems illogical.
Right. But trust is key.
Okay.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Okay.
At first, you're going to wobble. You might even fall.
Right.
But the more you practice,
Mm.
the more you trust your balance.
Right.
And the smoother the ride becomes.
I see. So it's the same with intuition.
Exactly. The more you honor those nudges, the more you build that trust muscle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So intention, quieting the mind, recognizing those subtle cues, and then trusting the process.
That's it.
All right. What
Yeah.
about creativity?
Yeah. I noticed WeiWat talked a lot about that.
He did.
How does that play into all of this?
Well, activities like dancing, drawing, playing music, these can help us get out of our heads and into a more intuitive flow state.
Interesting.
Yeah, when you're being creative, you're not overthinking things.
Right.
You're just letting the energy flow through you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like giving our intuition a playground.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we're giving our intuition a playground to just sort of come out and play. Okay, this is good stuff.
I know, right?
We're going to have to pause here.
Right. Yeah.
But I am really enjoying this conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our listeners are as well.
Yeah.
We're going to dive even deeper into the power of intuition
All right.
when we come back.
Can't wait.
So stay with us.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
All right, so we're back, and we're talking about the power of intuition.
Yes. And one of the things that really stood out to me in WeiWat's blog was this idea of trusting our intuition even when it seems a little bit scary.
Right, because sometimes it challenges our logic.
Exactly. Like that classic movie scene where the hero has to make a split-second decision, and everyone's telling them to go one way, but they just have this gut feeling that they need to go the other way.
Right, like Indiana Jones.
Exactly.
Or Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, they didn't always have all the answers.
Right.
But they trusted that inner voice.
And it usually worked out for them.
Yeah.
Usually. So it's not always about these big life or death decisions, though, right?
No, not at all.
Like WeiWat talks about those everyday nudges that we get.
The little whispers.
Yeah, and he encourages us to pay attention to those.
Exactly. Like maybe you're about to send an email.
Right.
And you get this feeling like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Or you're driving home from work and you decide to take a different route for no apparent reason, and you end up avoiding a traffic jam.
I've had that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are all little examples of your intuition trying to guide you.
So it's like we're building those intuition muscles.
Exactly.
With each little choice that we make.
Every time you honor that nudge, you're strengthening that connection to your inner wisdom.
So speaking of strengthening those muscles, WeiWat actually lays out a sort of workout plan.
He does.
For developing intuition.
Yeah, he calls it the 3 R's.
Okay.
Relaxation, trust, and playfulness.
Okay. I like this.
Yeah.
So relaxation.
Relaxation is all about creating space.
Okay.
Quieting the mind so that you can actually hear those whispers of intuition.
Right, because it's hard to hear anything.
I know.
When our minds are just racing all the time.
It's like trying to have a conversation at a rock concert.
Right, exactly.
You need that quiet space to really tune in.
Okay, so relaxation, trust. What is trust about?
Trust is about believing in those intuitive nudges, even when they don't make logical sense.
Right.
Because sometimes your intuition will guide you towards something that your mind just can't comprehend.
Yeah.
But you have to trust that there's a bigger picture. Okay.
That you might not be able to see yet.
So it's about surrendering to that unknown.
In a way. Yeah. It's about having faith in the process.
And playfulness.
Playfulness.
This is an interesting one.
I know, right?
I wouldn't necessarily associate that with intuition.
Yeah. But WeiWat's point is that when we approach intuition with a sense of curiosity and playfulness, we're more open to receiving those messages.
It's like we're not taking it all so seriously.
Exactly. It's like being a kid again.
Right.
Exploring the world with wonder and awe.
And allowing our intuition to be our guide.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've got relaxation, trust, playfulness, but what happens when we're trying to make a decision?
Yeah.
And we feel stuck?
Right.
Like, how do we know which voice to trust?
That's a great question. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because sometimes our intuition can be clouded by limiting beliefs.
Okay, what does that mean?
So limiting beliefs are those negative thoughts and stories that we tell ourselves.
Right. Often subconsciously that hold us back.
Like, I'm not good enough.
Exactly.
Or I'll never be successful.
Yeah, or I'm not worthy of love.
Right.
These beliefs can really distort our perception.
Like block our intuition.
Exactly.
So how do we get rid of those?
Well, first we have to become aware of them.
Right.
We have to start paying attention to those thoughts that are running through our heads, and then we can start to challenge them.
So it's like becoming a detective of our own minds.
Exactly.
Looking for those clues.
Yeah, asking ourselves questions like, is this belief really true?
Right.
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Does it serve me or does it hold me back?
And once we've identified those limiting beliefs, then what?
Then we can start to replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you might say, I am capable and worthy.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like we're rewriting the script of our lives.
Exactly.
So we can create a new story.
And one of the most powerful tools for rewiring those negative beliefs is forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yes, forgiveness is so important
Yeah.
because when we hold on to anger and resentment, we're actually blocking our own intuition.
So forgiveness is not about condoning someone else's actions.
Right. It's about freeing ourselves
From that negativity.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the past.
So we can move forward.
And when we forgive ourselves and others, we create space for compassion and understanding.
Okay.
And that's when our intuition can really flow.
So forgiveness is like a key.
It is.
That unlocks the door to intuition.
Exactly.
I like that analogy.
Me too.
Well, this has been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
I feel like we've covered so much ground.
I know we have.
But we're going to have to pause here for now.
Okay.
But we will be back to continue our exploration of intuition in part 3.
All right.
So stay with us.
Wait, what?
All right, so we're back.
We are.
And we're talking about intuition.
Yes.
Diving deep.
Diving deep into this.
Yeah. So one thing I'm really curious about.
Okay.
We talked about like identifying those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
But how do we actually step into that new version of ourselves?
Right. Like how do we actually make those changes?
Yeah.
Well, WeiWat calls this conscious creation.
Okay.
And it starts with awareness.
Okay.
You know, becoming really curious about our own thoughts and feelings and behaviors.
So it's like we're watching a movie of our own lives.
Exactly. Yeah, like noticing those patterns, those recurring themes.
And then once we've identified those patterns and those beliefs.
Yeah, then we can start asking ourselves some questions.
Okay.
Like, is this belief really serving me?
Right.
Where did it come from? Is it even true?
Yeah, it's like holding those beliefs up to the light.
Exactly.
And seeing if they still hold up.
And often we find that they don't.
Yeah.
You know, there's just stories we've been telling ourselves.
Based on past experiences or,
Yeah, our upbringing.
Yeah, what other people have told us.
Exactly.
But once we realize that we have a choice, that's when things start to shift.
Exactly. We can choose a different story.
A more empowering story.
And WeiWat talks about using affirmations to replace those old limiting beliefs.
So like instead of saying, I'm not good enough,
Yeah.
we might say, I am capable and worthy.
Exactly.
Right.
And these affirmations actually help to rewire our brains.
It's like we're creating new neural pathways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where forgiveness comes in too.
Okay, how so?
Well, you know, when we hold on to anger and resentment, we're actually keeping ourselves stuck in those old patterns.
So it's not about condoning the behavior.
Right.
It's about letting go.
It's about freeing ourselves.
Of that negativity.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is really important for our own well-being.
Absolutely. It's essential.
Okay.
And it also allows our intuition to flow more freely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So once we've cleared out that space, what happens next?
Well, then it's about trusting those intuitive nudges.
Right.
Making choices that feel aligned with our truest selves.
Okay.
Even if those choices don't make logical sense.
So it's about taking action based on our intuition.
And remembering that it's a journey.
Right.
There will be ups and downs.
You're going to make mistakes.
Exactly. But the key is to be kind to ourselves along the way.
Self-compassion.
Yes, self-compassion is crucial.
And celebrating those small wins.
Absolutely.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive on intuition,
Yeah.
what are your final thoughts on this topic?
You know, I think intuition is one of the most powerful tools we have
Okay.
for creating a life that's both fulfilling and meaningful.
And it's available to all of us.
It is. It's our birthright.
We just have to learn to listen.
Exactly.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
And I'm sure our listeners have as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the power of intuition.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Keep diving deep.